KBOI, Boise, your official Broncos radio station.
News Talk 670 KBOI.
From ABC News, I'm Joan Bennett. President Obama in Poland, prodding leaders there to support pro-democracy movements in the Middle East and North Africa, with lessons learned from their overthrow of communism. Let's go live to ABC's Ann Compton, traveling with the president in Warsaw.
Well, Joan, the president told leaders of Poland's Solidarity movement and new activists now promoting democracy that Poland is helping history repeat itself in what's called the Arab Spring.
I very much value the contributions that Poland is making in Tunisia. I appreciate the fact that your foreign minister has now visited Benghazi.
In 2 hours, Joan, President Obama heads home.
ABC's Ann Compton, live from Warsaw. In Missouri, more funerals today for victims of the tornado that killed at least 132 people. Officials are working to cut down the list of those still missing. And some volunteers are spending their holiday weekend helping those who lost everything.
Since I've been here, we started off on showering, assisting people with showers. We have separated hygiene products and clothing. We have done some pickup. We've helped stock trailers, unload trailers.
Republicans and Democrats honoring America's war dead in their weekly addresses. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor of Virginia.
It is their sacrifice that has kept America free and strong. Let us pay them tribute by renewing our resolve to promote lasting peace and liberty across the globe.
On this Memorial Day weekend, Americans are generally traveling less because of higher gasoline prices. But, says ABC's David Curley, there are some exceptions.
One of the surprising statistics this year that 11% more people are flying. We talked to a couple of passengers. They basically said, you know, with gas prices, I can get a plane ticket for not much more than it would cost me to drive.
The revolution will not be brought to you.
Before there was rap, there was Gil Scott-Heron, poet and musician, best known for putting his politics into lyrics in the 70s. He's dead at the age of 62. You're listening to ABC News.
Now at Exxon and Mobil locations, you can save 15 cents per gallon for 60 days when you use your SpeedPass device for fuel purchases at participating locations. Just register your SpeedPass device at speedpass.com by June 30th, 2011 to start saving. That's right, save 15 cents per gallon when you use your SpeedPass device. Visit speedpass.com today. Excludes business and fleet card accounts. Purchases in Louisiana, New Jersey, and some Florida stores do not qualify. Rebates will be posted to the credit or check card that is linked to SpeedPass. Maximum gallons eligible for rebate is 100 per account. Offer may not be combined with any other SpeedPass offers. Allow a minimum of 90 days to receive rebates.
The weekend is coming! The weekend is coming!
This Memorial Day weekend at Ace, save 40% on an Adirondack chair, now just $29.99.
The weekend is coming!
Or pick up Miracle Grow potting mix for $8.99 each with a $5 mail-in rebate available. So visit your local Ace and get saving, then get your weekend back. At Ace, the helpful place. Price is good at participating Ace stores May 27th through 30th. Limit 2 rebates total for Miracle Grow purchases. Additional conditions apply.
The weekend is coming! The weekend is coming!
See store for details.
A big day for Palestinians as Egypt opens a major border crossing into Gaza. ABC's Linda Albin at the Foreign Desk.
A bus packed with Palestinians crosses the border from Gaza into Egypt, allowing many to cross freely for the first time in 4 years. The move comes 3 months after Egyptian President Mubarak's ouster. But as Israeli government spokesman Yigal Palmor says, Israel has serious reservations.
We just hope that nothing will be done that will empower Hamas and allow it to reinforce its terror infrastructure.
Israel is worried that relaxed restrictions will allow weapons to come across the border, a concern Palmor says has been communicated to the Egyptians. Linda Albin, ABC News.
The Sheriff's Department in Pima County, Arizona, defending itself after a SWAT team's drug raid turned deadly.
In video just released by the Pima County Sheriff's Office, SWAT team members sound a siren and yell police search warrant, open the door. When nobody does, they force it open and then the sound of gunfire. The man inside held a rifle. He was a former Marine who served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. Police say he told them, "I've got something for you." He was hit 60 times by police gunfire. His wife now claims he had been sleeping after working the night shift and he didn't know they were police. He apparently thought somebody was breaking into his home. Alex Stone, ABC News.
This is ABC News.
Another Home Depot advantage. Get 10% off your first purchase or special financing for 24 months when purchases of $599 or more when you open a new Home Depot consumer credit card account. It's the green light you've been waiting for to get more doing done. Special financing or 10% off. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Valid through June 8th, U.S. only, subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Cannot be combined with other credit-related offers. See store for details.
Joan Bennett, ABC News.
When you listen to 670 KBOI, you get today's news. 670 KBOI is Idaho's #1 choice for news.
7 officers were surrounded by 300 people.
With live newscasts all day, on the hour, on the half, and breaking news when it happens.
Decision Day here in the Treasure Valley election results.
Live reports on the scene of news.
Smoke continues to pour out of the roof.
From Idaho's largest radio news team.
I'm Chris Walton, Ken Weaver.
I'm Larry Doss.
Ray Amaya.
This is Idaho's News Talk Authority. 670 KBOI. This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Good Saturday morning. You thought I was going to say Sunday, didn't you? You thought I was the Porky Pig that messed up. We should play that some morning. Phelan, do we have that? Once you get that queued up as we go to the gangway and talk to Rick. Good morning, Chief Rick.
Good morning, shipmate. How are you doing?
Not bad.
Permission to come aboard.
Permission granted.
Very well. Stand by for tomorrow. Hey, I know I've got limited time, but I want to say something in compliment with the previous caller. Doug, you and I have been doing this gig for a long time, and every year we come up to Memorial Day, and I've seen some shipmates actually killed up on the flight deck. 20 years of experience. I've been burdened with that, and I want to tell you something. It's Memorial Day. Okay, I'm not having a big turkey dinner. I'm not handing out any candy to any kids. There's no baskets, and I'm not exchanging presents. You can tell me Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving, but don't tell me Happy Memorial Day. I've heard it, I hear it, and I'm sick of it. It's Memorial Day, people.
Yep.
And, if you've been on the flight deck and seen some of the atrocities that I've seen, accidents, whatever you want to call them, okay? It's a very sad day, and it's those sad days that I've experienced that I reflect on a day like today. So on that note, I'm putting it all on the plate here, and I'm not being I'm not putting any gravy on it. It's Memorial Day. Don't tell me Happy Memorial Day. Doug, appreciate that, and I'll pick up the football tomorrow or sometime, eh?
Okay.
All right, very well. Permission to go ashore.
Permission granted. Carry on.
Shipmate.
All right. Wow. Rick kept it down to one topic. It was an ad hoc phone call from Chief Rick. And it's only because, we're trying to keep at least the calls during this hour and next hour related to the old days of radio and TV, too. Taylor, you have your list. Go ahead and play Porky Pig there. That's kind of Rick's. This is for Rick.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Well, you had to cut that part. You heard it, Art, but they didn't. Okay. Good Saturday morning to you. Let's go to number 19, Taylor. Now, with me this morning is Art Gregory. And good morning to you, Art.
Hello, how are you?
I am tickled that you are here and that Del Chapman is on his way. Del Chapman, for years and years, I think he probably got out of the habit of getting up so early in the morning, but he will be here. I have faith. Let's go to number 19, Taylor, in Art's bag of promos and clips.
House Majority Leader H. Ferd Cook of Boise wished an ailing member of the Capitol Press Corps well in a floor speech Friday and expressed hope for his early return to work. Cook spoke of the...
It's not the one I have. 19. KBOI AM on 950 Music at Marty's Place.
The casinos front and center inside the top 10 this week. It slipped from 3 to number 7. Then you can tell me goodbye.
Each morning for a million years. On KBOI.
Tommy James and the Shandells, and I think we're alone now. Number 12.
That's what they say when we're together. And watch how you play.
You heard it first on KBOI. The Sinatras, Nancy and Frank. Boy, watch this one go all the way to the top.
KBOI. Where she came from.
Okay. Tell us what we just listened to. That was from 1967, Art.
Yes, I'd like to thank Gil Rose Jr., and that was Gilbert Rose Jr., whose dad was obviously Gil Rose Sr., the engineer of KFXT, the man who built a lot of KFXT, and Gil has been a member of our History Idaho Broadcasting Foundation for quite a while, and what he did is he taped during the time that he was a youngster and a young man a lot of radio stations, and that was an actual air check with Marty Holtman from 1967.
Boy, Marty Holtman sounded really young.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really young.
Well, Marty is still around, and we saw Marty on Saturday at our broadcast history meeting, and Marty is in great shape and been at KBOI since 1961 and retired from KBOI from this radio station right here in 1967, and then, of course, went on to continue on TV, I think until, I want to say, about 2000, when Scott Verval completely took over, and Marty is just a wonderful guy, and, of course, he was a disc jockey, had that, he called it Music at Marty's Place, and that's what you heard right there, was a little bit of a...
Now, was he a morning man?
Well, he was in the 1970s. I think it was about 1969 that Gene Perkins retired, and a guy by the name of Fred Lilge Jr., Fred Novak.
Freddie Novak.
Yeah, he took over as morning announcer at KBOI, if you can imagine that, prior to working for KFXT, and it didn't work. And so they put Marty on in the morning, I think in late 1969, and Marty was doing the mornings for about 6 years. I worked for Marty. I was an announcer at KBOI. As a matter of fact, I think you got a chart there in your hands, don't you?
Yes.
And you see, turn it over there, Doug, on the other side. That is the top 67. And they weren't in any particular order. They were just listed there. Mm-hmm. And that was KBOI's chart. And it might list over to one side a disc jockey.
Now, what year was this? 1970.
Yes, and that's when I started at KBOI, 1970. I was there about 2 years, 70, 71, 72. And then Marty retired in 1976 when Lon Dunn took over on mornings.
Oh.
But Marty continued doing television on Channel 2. By that time, it was KBCI. But our foundation was involved in the move to try to get it converted back to KBOI TV, and we were successful, and thanks to the manager of this radio station, Don Moran, who manages Citadel right now, Don was receptive to the idea of getting the call letters back to KBOI TV, and I think there's some synergy having a radio and a TV station with the same call letters, and that's what they did. I believe it was early 2010 when that took place. So been just a little over a year that Channel 2 has now been KBOI TV again. But, well, you know, what does KBCI mean? It really doesn't mean anything, but BOI means Boise.
Well, KBOI TV is owned by Fisher Broadcasting. which owns Como at 1,000, a Clear Channel, not a Clear Channel company, but a Clear Channel radio station, one of the 48 in the country, at 50,000 watts. And it would just be a natural, it would seem to me, that Fisher would want a radio property. But I understand that they've sold most of their radio properties except for Como in Seattle and I believe NFM in Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. The guy that was here in Boise, Larry Roberts, was the manager of KBCI here when the move was made to change to the KBCI. And Larry actually had a radio group in Montana, and he had sold that to Fisher and then went to work for them, and they subsequently got out of the radio business.
KFXD All-American Radio.
Oh, yes, that's an old KFXD All-American Radio jingle. That's an old one.
All-American Radio jingle, 69. That's when Wayne Cornels was the general manager?
Yes, Wayne's daughter, Carrie Cornels, is part of her foundation. And if Wayne were here right now, Wayne passed away a few years ago, but Wayne would say it's a Saturday morning. It's a beautiful spring day. Which was Wayne's characteristic. And I guess the other thing that he said, Doug, is that when people would say, Wayne, how are you? Wayne would say, great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. I went to work at KFXD in 1982, and Wayne was still the president. He was working for the NAB radio division in Washington, D.C., but he still was an owner. And we've got a call from Jerry this morning. Now, Jerry, I want you to hang on. We're going to be back to talk to you in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to you with Art Gregory. We're waiting for the arrival of Del Chapman on Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey and you. If you want to join the conversation, 336-3700 or 1-800-529-KBOI. You can also write me at weekendidaho@KBOI.com. I read them all. I can't necessarily respond to every one of them, but I sure like to read them. All coming up in just a moment on News Talk 670, KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. Don't miss Michael Savage, weeknight 7 to 10 on Idaho's News Talk Authority, 670 KBOI and 670KBOI.com.
Have been meaning to do this for a long time. The time has come now. No more procrastination. It's time to visit the Boise Church of Christ June 5th. Join us in celebrating our high school graduates. Eat lunch with us and stay for a concert with internationally acclaimed Christian artist Jean Watson. You can find more about her on JeanWatson.com. Give me Jesus. You got to make plans now to come to either Lakeview Bible Church, 1010 Greenhurst, the corner of Midland and Greenhurst in Nampa, 7 p.m. Saturday, June 4th, or Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, Boise Church of Christ, 2000 North Eldorado. Plan on making a day of it and come on to church at 10:30. You can find more about all this on boisechurch.org, Boise Church of Christ, where church is family.
This is Lori Otter. As a teacher and coach in Idaho's public schools, I took pride in knowing I was committed to making Idaho's students come first. Now as Idaho's First Lady, I see the statewide challenges our students and teachers face every day and the tough economic times our state is going through. The Students Come First plan gives both students and teachers new technology, learning advantages, and opportunities to prepare for the new century. In districts both large and small, Students Come First gives all Idaho students an equal chance for success. This plan gives teachers unprecedented access to professional development and classroom technologies that will enhance their abilities. Additionally, our state is committed to rewarding successful teachers by paying them more. Difficult economic times cannot deter us from making educational improvements. Students Come First is good for our teachers, it's good for our children, and it's good for Idaho. Do your homework, educate yourself, learn more at studentscomefirst.org.
paid Idahoans for Better Education.
Coming up this Friday, it's another half-price deal. When you want to try someplace new, do it for half price. Check out KBOI.com, click on the half-price deals link, and buy a $50 gift certificate from Rocky's Diner for only $25.
Good food, good times. It's Rocky's Diner on Overland in Boise. Where else can you find roller skating waitresses, a 72-inch TV, and flashbacks to the 50s everywhere you look? Only at Rocky's Diner. Breakfast starts at 6:30 with a huge helping of hash browns, 2 eggs, bacon or sausage, and toast for only $4.25. Daily dinner specials include fish and chips every Friday and all-you-can-eat barbecue ribs on Saturday. Try the famous Rocky's Challenge that was featured on Man vs. Food. It's a monstrous burger, a plate of chili fries, and a thick shake. Thousands have tried, most have failed. Try it any night of the week from 6 to 9 if you dare. Flashback to the good time 50s at Rocky's Diner on Overland and Boise between Latah and Roosevelt, and online at rockysdiner.com.
More news, more often. Live, local. News Talk 670 KBOI.
I'm an EMT. Pick up the phone and call 911 at the first sign of a stroke. Warning signs include numbness or weakness of the face, arm, or leg, especially on one side of the body, confusion, trouble speaking or understanding, trouble seeing or walking, dizziness or loss of balance, or severe headache with no known cause. To learn more, visit idahoheartandstroke.org or dial 211. Brought to you by the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare.
The grand opening of Dennis Dillon Nissan is here. It's Idaho's largest Nissan dealership, conveniently located at the start of Auto Row on Fairview Avenue between Milwaukee and Maple Grove. Dennis Dillon Nissan's grand opening is one you don't want to miss, with special allocation inventory of Nissan's hottest models: Altima, Juke, 370Z, Xterra, Titan, Murano, and more. Dennis Dillon Nissan's grand opening sale going on now for a limited time at 8727 Fairview Avenue in Boise.
The #1 radio station for news.
News Talk 670 KBOI.
In Napoli, where love is king, when boy meets girl, here's what they say. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
That's amore.
When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore.
That's amore.
Bells will ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Vita Bella, Vita Bella, hearts will play. Tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella.
That's when gay meant something differently. The gay caballero.
Stars make you drool just like pasta fazool.
Pasta fazool. Yeah. Italian soup. You can probably remember when that song was popular, right, Art?
Well, yeah, it predates me a little.
No, I don't mean as an announcer, but when you're growing up with radio, that was on That was on the radio.
Sure.
When you were a kid.
KIDO and KBOI played music of that nature, and that would have been an oldie back then. I was born in 1952, and I think that particular song came out most likely in the 50s.
Late 50s, yeah.
Yes.
But it stayed popular forever, especially on full-service stations or what we called MOR, middle of the road, which I understand that there's a middle of the road today. Taylor was telling me there's MOR, and I'm going, no. MOR, no, that went out back in the 60s and 70s, but apparently a soft rock is middle of the road now.
Well, I think, that's kind of what they called it. There was a lot of different terms for these things. Full service, middle of the road, adult contemporary, remember AC, and then they take on acronyms, like AOR, which stood for album or alternative album rock, and then there was EOR, which stood for eclectic-oriented rock. And then, people get mixed up and they say, yes, I'm listening to ELO. And, well, that's Electric Light Orchestra, and so these acronyms go throughout the industry. I think the latest, there's alternative radio, which is kind of like what 94.9 is. The River is, an alternative station. And Rick Waite kind of started that with 94.9 when they called it KF95, which stood, of course, for KFXD. FM, which is when you were working there in 1982, they had KF95.
No, KF95 didn't come along till several years later. At that point, it was called X95.
Oh, yes.
Between a rock and a soft place.
Oh, yes.
And they didn't go to KF95 until an outfit out of Iowa bought them and brought in a guy named Tom Simmons. And he changed it to KF95. Let's go to the phones this morning. Jerry in Boise. Good morning. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey, it's great to hear Art Gregory back on the radio again. I used to win prizes from him back in the day.
Really?
Jerry, who's this? Who are you, Jerry? Or when did you listen to me on the radio? Do I know who you are?
I think it was KFXD or KWZ.
Well, yeah, it would have been KWZ back in the late 1970s, early 80s, sure.
Yeah, that was fun. You mentioned how KBOI became KBCI.
Yes.
Well, I worked with Larry Chase, and he was a manager at Channel 2 at the time. Remember the old building?
Yeah,
of course.
The marble-faced building.
Yeah, it had that big old sign out front.
Yes. I know where Jerry's going with this.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, Larry Chase was really good at cutting costs, and the biggest obstacle they had was what to do with the sign if they changed the name, the call letters. So what they did was they cut the bar out of the O to make the C. That was the biggest decision, that's why they made that decision. That's the story I heard.
Well, Jerry, I'm glad you brought that up because we can blame Larry Chase about that now.
Actually, Larry was not the culprit there in that Jim Johns, who was the first member of our foundation, Jerry, he was kind of running BOI at the time, and those letters cost $1,000 each, from what I understand. And while Jim would not really admit that that's the reason why they did it, and of course they justified it. They said that it was KBCI, which stood for Boise City, Idaho, which apparently is what the city was called prior to that, and that was their justification. But he privately admitted, he said, Art, those letters cost $1,000 each. And, I asked that question. Matter of fact, I asked it to Larry Roberts of KBCI when I first met him. I said, Jerry, if those letters, I said, Larry, if those letters cost $1,000 each, how many do you think the new owners of the radio station wanted to change? Did they want to change 4? No. Did they want to change 3? No. Did they want to change 2? No, they didn't want to change any. They did change 1, as Jerry pointed out, and they did that by not changing it really. They just cut the part of the O out and turned it into a C.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Jerry, I sure appreciate your call this morning.
Thanks. Enjoy the show.
Okay,
thank you.
Care. Weekend Idaho Saturday with Doug McConnaughey and you. In studio with me this morning, Art Gregory. We've Man, we're wondering what happened to Del Chapman. But Del was excited to be here. I told him, I said, you know where we're at, right, Del? I don't believe Del ever worked at KBOI.
He did, actually.
He did?
When Del got back from Seattle in the 80s, it would have been the late 80s, Lon Dunn was still program director, and Del and Lon worked together at KIDO and are good friends. And Lon hired Del as a part-time weekend announcer here. And matter of fact, Larry Church, who works for Peak Broadcasting, is an account exec at KIDO. Larry indicated that he loved working with Del because he got to bowl with Del. Del was on the KBOI bowling team. Yes.
That's funny.
Sure.
Well, let's go ahead, Taylor. Do we have something queued up? Let me introduce this. This is going back to 1961, when author Ernest Hemingway died of a gunshot wound to the head, and Vern Moore, a longtime reporter at KIDO, was reporting to NBC's Monitor News.
Five minutes of Monitor News on the hour, brought to you by Rambler, whose sales are way up with more than 1,000 motorists buying new Ramblers every day. Now here's Stephen Flanders, NBC News.
Once, back in January 1954, author Ernest Hemingway and his wife, Mary, were lost for several days in a plane crash over the African bush. At that time, papers carried his obituary across the land. But Hemingway was found and returned to live for 7 years more, until death claimed him early today. For a late report, here's Vern Moore, station KIDO in Boise, Idaho.
The death of Ernest Hemingway was termed definitely accidental today by Frank Hewitt, sheriff of Blaine County, Idaho. Hewitt told me there was nothing in his investigation to indicate anything but that the author had shot himself accidentally while cleaning his shotgun so he could get in a bit of early morning hunting. According to the sheriff, Hemingway's wife, Mary, was upstairs in bed asleep at the Hemingway home near Idaho's famed resort city of Sun Valley. Blaine County prosecuting attorney V.K. Jepson said it was very unlikely any inquest would be held. Mrs. Hemingway is in a state of shock and not available for an interview. She was the only member of the author's immediate family at the home, although relatives have been notified, and his daughter is reported to be coming to Sun Valley from Honolulu for the funeral. The first authority notified after the shooting accident occurred at 7:30 this morning was Les Jankow, city marshal at the nearby town of Ketchum. He called in Sheriff Hewitt, who arrived shortly after 8. Coroner Ray McGoldrick, also of Blaine County, operates a funeral home, and that is where Hemingway's body was taken. Vern Moore in Boise.
Well, that takes us back a long time ago. And Vern Moore, I didn't get to know Vern until he was working part-time for Morrison Knudsen. I think he worked full-time for a while. Then he worked for the old Boise Redevelopment Agency, the BRA.
Right.
And
yeah, I didn't know that Vern ever worked for MK, but I do know that he worked for the BRA when he left KIDO. Doug, Vern was at KIDO from 1935 until 1977, 42 years at one radio station. And of course, Vern is the man that spoke the first words on TV where we were last Friday, a week ago yesterday, up on Crestline Drive as television began as KIDO TV, Channel 7, on July 12, 1953.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back as we continue our conversation with Art Gregory, still looking for Del Chapman. If you'd like to join the conversation this morning, good time to call, 336-3700, 336-3700, or 1-800-529-KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. No matter when it is or where you are, get KBOI News first. Get the news as it happens by following KBOI on Twitter or Facebook. Download the KBOI mobile app. Get breaking news email or text alerts. Or just listen live anytime at 670KBOI.com. Treasure Valley News, traffic, weather, sports, and more. Get the news first from News Talk 670 KBOI and 670KBOI.com. Don't miss a thing.
Nate Shellman here for CertaPro Painters. You can give them a call, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters painted a room at my place. It was one of the easiest things I had to go through. Sherry came over, took a look through my room, let me know everything the painters needed to do, and let me know how much it was going to be right there. That way there were no surprises. Painter came in a couple days later, got the room done. Now I have a home office. Now I can go forward with all my other projects this summer. I'm not a painter. I can't paint rooms myself. That's why CertaPro Painters come in so handy. Painters you can trust, painters that won't break the bank, painters that are clean. They do a great job, and the room looks wonderful. I highly recommend them inside or outside. Whatever paint job you need done, they help you pick out the colors. Give them a call, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA, or look them up online, CertaPro.com. That's CERTAPro.com. Tell them Nate Shellman sent you.
You get a lot at Tom Scott, where your choice just got better.
Don't miss the big Memorial Weekend sale this Friday through Monday at Tom Scott Toyota. See why the best new cars make the best used cars with sale pricing and 2.9% APR financing on all Toyota certified pre-owned vehicles. You'll also find special incentives throughout our huge inventory of new cars and trucks, including 1.9% APR financing on new 2011 Camrys and Tundras. Recent college grads can get a $1,000 rebate on 6 new Toyota models and 3 new Scion models. And if the lease is ending on your Toyota or Scion, return it to us at Tom Scott Toyota. We'll give you $200 no matter where you leased it. See us for complete details during the big Memorial Weekend sale at Tom Scott Toyota under the big American flag at the Idaho Center Auto Mall in Nampa. Financing on approved credit. Offers end 5/31/11.
When your choice just got better.
Hi, this is Jim Zamzo, and Memorial Day weekend is a great time to plan. Not only is the weather warm enough so you don't have to worry about frost, but it's not too warm, which stresses out your plant, not to mention stressing out you. And if you've been stressing out about that tree or shrub you need to replace, or want to add some new trees or shrubs, Zamzo's Chinden Greenhouse is the place to go this Memorial weekend. Not only are we Idaho's largest indoor greenhouse, but we have one of the Valley's best selection of large trees and shrubs, all at fabulous prices. Because due to Zamzo's 10-store buying power, our Chinden Greenhouse has some incredible deals. Delivery is available too, and our in-store experts can help you pick out the right trees and shrubs for your exact needs. Oh, and be sure to feed both your new and existing trees and shrubs with Zamzo's Thrive. We're open Monday, Memorial Day, so come see us. Because when it comes to quality plants at a great value,
nobody knows like Zamzo.
The Information Station. News Talk 670 KBOI.
Don't let price stop you from golfing. Dust off your sticks and hit the links. Centennial Golf Course provides affordable golf at its best. You'll enjoy high-end golf at some of the lowest rates in the valley. At Centennial, you'll save money while you play. Reserve a tee time today at 468-5889. That's 468-5889. Centennial Golf Course.
This is John Lewis. Come and make Centennial Golf Course your home for golf. Call 468-5889 today.
Looking to save some big money? Then get to Champion's Open House Sale this weekend. Save 40% on windows and siding and 15% on patio rooms. And don't forget to bring in your measurements for on-the-spot pricing and additional discounts. So come to the Champion Showroom on Lanark Street in Meridian, directly behind R.C. Willey's this weekend only for Champion's Open House Sale. Call 888-420-1288 for more details. That's 888-420-1288. These savings won't last forever, so get to Champion today.
News on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks.
News Talk 670 KBOI. This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Talk 670 KBOI Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory. Well, we're going to say that he's a broadcasting historian these days. Of course, he was involved in broadcasting at an early age. And Art, when you grew up in the 50s and the 60s, around the house, the radio was tuned to what station?
Well, I really started listening to KATN, K10 radio, in about the early 1960s. I was more into TV, grew up in Ontario, Oregon, and TV, had its infancy in Boise in 1953. I was born in 1952. So from the time I was born, the moment we got a TV, I was interested in broadcasting. I liked the programs, I liked the shows. But Doug, you know what I actually liked? I liked the commercials and the jingles. And can still remember them from being a little kid. And, in answer to your question, what do we listen to around the house? My parents listened to KIDO. My dad liked that. Of course, the kids around the house, my older brother and sister listened to KIDO and Del Chapman on Saturday night doing the oldies. KGEM was playing KGEM was playing Top 40 at the time, as was KIDO on Saturday nights. And K10 was an interesting station out on Fairview Avenue. Do you remember the old QBBK with the little airport control tower? Ralph Frazier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ralph is still around. He's not doing too good, and we want to wish Ralph well. He's a member of our foundation. And Ralph, if you're out there listening, hang in there, buddy. But K10 started this block format where it was not just a whole bunch of different things during the day. Doug, radio stations, they'd start off the day with news and information, and then they would go to housewife-type music, and then they would go to country during the afternoon, and then they'd go to news in the middle of the road during the late afternoon, and then at night, a lot of them played rock and roll, and on the weekends, they did all kinds of things like religious programming and whatnot. Well, Ralph Frazier took KATN and played country music nonstop, and that was in 1961, and he was a pioneer not only in the country format, but in making a radio station that was just one format all the time. And I like K10, and matter of fact, we have some old K10 jingles here that would bring back little memories. There's one called This Is the Spot, and that kind of...
What number are we talking about?
Well, let's see. It's the K10 jingles are number 12, which is the This Is the Spot jingle.
Number 11 and number 12, Taylor.
Yeah, and it kind of summed up what K10 was.
K-Bar 10, your listening friend. 10-10 on everybody's radio. K-A-T-N in Boise.
I always like that in Boise.
And then the second one.
This is the spot, 'cause what we've got is the hottest brand going. The Tower of Power in Treasure Valley, Idaho's #1. Country and western music and fun that'll chase your blues away.
Let me tell you, partner, you're the one to
pull up a radio and stay today at KATN.
Boy, and people did. Let me tell you, that was one point in time, Doug, the #1 rated radio station in this town. It was a daytimer on 1010 kilocycles, and that they had a Western Electric transmitter that came from KSRV in Ontario, wired up by Gil Rose Sr., the guy I talked about earlier who was at KFXD, and this guy was an engineer par excellence, and he made 1,000 watts sound like 10,000 watts, and it was a powerful radio station and dynamic personalities.
Hop aboard the New Line Time Machine as the years roll back to 1936. The nation's in an uproar about the latest fad sweeping the high schools, marijuana. And this same year, Hollywood, in the public interest and to make a buck, exposed this weed from the devil's garden in the amazing film Reefer Madness. Yes, film buffs, it's what you've been waiting for. The campiest, most ridiculous film about drugs or people ever produced. Nice. The kids from the malt shop used to be model high school students, but now see them on the silver screen, dancing and writhing sensuously after smoking what they thought were harmless cigarettes, but in reality were reefers.
For the audience at home, reefer is the underworld term for a marijuana cigarette.
Reefer Madness, made in 1936, started all the myths about marijuana. It's guaranteed to boggle your mind and pucker your goose.
The original version is seen by Congress in 1937. The special Midnight Freak Shows this Friday and Saturday at the Ada Theater in Boise include a special surprise full-length Beatle film.
And, of course...
6:53, 1 hour, 7 minutes before switch over. Hello there. Bill, we're back 60 degrees now and warming up.
And this is the Gene Perkins Show from KBOI Radio. Gene is graciously putting up with Pat O'Halloran and Jim Hawks and myself this morning.
Gives me a chance to read a paper, Bill.
Oh, does it? As we get ready to change over, make the big switch to 50,000 watts at a new spot on the dial at 8 o'clock.
I'm really, I may have a calm exterior, but inside I'm seething. I'm excited about this.
I'm excited too, Gene.
Boy, you know, when you look at that coverage map and realize we're going to be reaching north and south and several other directions, it's going to be great. And we sure want to hear from the folks.
That was June 25th, 1968, when they made the big switch from 950, 5,000 watts, to 50,000 watts, and that was Gene Perkins, and folks from around here will recognize a former county commissioner, who I think you probably knew, Doug, Bill Grattan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, at K10, that later became what, KBRJ and
right, and
all of that. Aren't they? That signal now is at 950?
Yes, that station is still on the air. I think the call letters are KJNY or KNJY, and I think it stands for Nampa Joy. They call it K-Joy. Steve Sumner owns it, and Steve bought that station, I think, from the Jensen brothers. He is the third owner of the station. Ralph put the thing on back in 1961. Ralph was working here at KBOI, and it didn't go over too well when Ralph, it was announced in the paper that Ralph was filing for a radio station, and he already worked for a radio station, and so the owner of the station brought Ralph in, and he'd called the FCC, and the FCC said, yeah, it looks like we're going to grant it. Actually, he'd called their attorney, KBOI's attorney, and according to the story, Ralph went into Wes Willick's office, and Wes Willick looked right up at him and said, your radio station on 1010 is going to be granted according to our attorneys. You're fired.
Well, there's only two kinds of people who are in radio, those that had been fired and those that will be fired. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more of the history of Idaho broadcasting with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory and you, 336-3700 or 1-800-529-KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. Monday morning, start your day with Idaho's first morning news with Paul J. Schneider and Chris Walton.
Paul J. Schneider and Chris Walton.
On News Talk 670 KBOI. Don't miss a thing.
See you later, snow boots. Pack it up, parka. Hello, summer.
Summer's so close, you can practically get a sunburn just thinking about it. And with the new season comes extra savings at Sierra Trading Post. For 10 days only, we're taking an extra 25% off store-wide. Now through Memorial Day, shop the Sierra Trading Post outlet store to save an extra 25% off our everyday savings of 35 to 70%. Ready to hear about the great savings you'll find? You can get a pair of Teva sandals for under $30. Treat your trees to a hammock for under $20. Or suit up the whole family in shorts and t-shirts as low as $10 each. When you shop Sierra Trading Post, you'll find thousands of great deals on great brands like Chaco, Patagonia, Sims, and New Balance, plus hundreds of other brands you know and trust for gear, apparel, footwear, and more.
It's easy to find great deals on great brands at Sierra Trading Post, located at 530 East Sonata Lane in Meridian. Just look for the clock tower.
Some exclusions apply.
This is Lori Otter. As a teacher and coach in Idaho's public schools, I took pride in knowing I was committed to making Idaho students come first. Now as Idaho's First Lady, I see the statewide challenges our students and teachers face every day and the tough economic times our state is going through. The Students Come First plan gives both students and teachers new technology, learning advantages, and opportunities to prepare for the new century. In districts both large and small, Students Come First gives all Idaho students an equal chance for success. This plan gives teachers unprecedented access to professional development and classroom technologies that will enhance their abilities. Additionally, our state is committed to rewarding successful teachers by paying them more. Difficult economic times cannot deter us from making educational improvements. Students Come First is good for our teachers, it's good for our children, and it's good for Idaho. Do your homework, educate yourself, learn more at studentscomefirst.org.
Paid Idahoans for Better Education.
Welcome to Taco Bell. Can I help you?
Yeah, hi. So, are you the manager?
Sure am.
Look, here's the thing. I hate being that guy, but I just thought you should know you've got an employee that's giving away these new beefy melt burritos for just 99 cents.
Really? Which employee?
That's him, over there. I mean, all this seasoned beef and melty cheese couldn't be just 99 cents.
Well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, I just thought you should know. I mean, a burrito that's beefy and perfectly melted like this, I'm sure costs twice as much. So, I'll just pay the difference and be on my way.
Actually, it is just 99 cents.
Uh-huh. So you're in on it, too. At just 99 cents, it seems too good to be true. Introducing Taco Bell's new 99-cent Beefy Melt Burrito. Loaded with premium seasoned beef, a blend of 3 cheeses, and heated up to melted perfection. It's one perfectly melted burrito for the perfectly low price of just 99 cents. Think outside the box. For a limited time at participating locations, prices may vary, tax extra.
Suzuki is the most affordable all-wheel drive vehicle in America. All Suzukis come standard with America's #1 new vehicle warranty of 7 years, 100,000 miles. And now at Dennis Dillon Suzuki, you can drive home a new SX4 all-wheel drive for $0 down, $209 a month. That's $0 down, $209 a month for an all-wheel drive SX4. That's a savings of $3,000 off MSRP.
DennisDillon.com, where Orchard Street and the freeway.
48-month lease with $0 down. First payment due at signing. OAC.
Ah, summer in the Treasure Valley. A lazy feel. Time to enjoy everything Idaho has to offer. It's also the last few months to pass before Bronco football. There's a different feel in 2011, and it's called the Mountain West Conference. Don't be left on the outside while historic visits from Air Force and TCU take place inside Bronco Stadium. There's Nevada and Tulsa, too. The only way to guarantee your seats is by getting season tickets. Add your name to the waiting list by visiting idahotickets.com.
News Talk 670 KBOI, Idaho's largest radio news team. This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
I got some troubles, but they won't last. I'm gonna lay right down here in the grass. And pretty soon all my troubles will pass, 'cause I'm in Sugar Town. I never had a dog that liked me some. Never had a friend or wanted one. So I just lay back and laugh at the sun, 'cause I'm in Sugar Town. Yesterday it rained in Tennessee. I heard it also rained in Tallahassee. But not a drop fell on little old me, 'cause I was in Sugar Town. If I had $1 million or 10, I'd give it to your world, and then you'd go away and let me spend my life in Sugar Town.
And not a drop fell on little old me. That was Nancy Sinatra, Sugartown. That must have been about 1967. Doug McConnaughey, Art Gregory is with me, and
yes,
we had hoped to have been joined by Del Chapman, but Del's alarm didn't go off this morning. Doggone it. Del, we're going to have to do it again. More of the history of broadcasting in the Treasure Valley and in Idaho in just a moment on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Don't miss the big Memorial Weekend sale this Friday through Monday at Tom Scott Toyota. See why the best new cars make the best used cars with sale pricing and 2.9% APR financing on all Toyota certified pre-owned vehicles. You'll also find special incentives throughout our huge inventory of new cars and trucks, including 1.9% APR financing on new 2011 Camrys and Tundras. Recent college grads can get a $1,000 rebate on 6 new Toyota models and 3 new Scion models. And if the lease is ending on your Toyota or Scion, return it to us at Tom Scott Toyota. We'll give you $200 no matter where you leased it. See us for complete details during the big Memorial Weekend sale at Tom Scott Toyota under the big American flag at the Idaho Center Auto Mall in Nampa. Financing on approved credit. Offers end 5/31/11.
Your choice just got better. Obviously, squirrels can't tell you to get your shocks replaced so that your car stops sooner. So, squirrels everywhere have turned to spray painting stop signs to get their message out. I said squirrels everywhere. Monroe Shocks and Struts. And April 1st through May 31st, 2011, purchase 4 qualifying Monroe Shocks or Struts and get the price of 1 unit back by mail-in rebate. Restrictions apply. Promotion details available at Monroe.com.
Other stores have no problem telling shoppers the limitations of their store rewards. But what if they had to tell a rabid honey badger?
Okay, now, rewards can only be earned on the first $50 of your purchase, and can only be used on certain brands and merchandise. Very short teeth.
Come to Kohl's instead, where you'll get hassle-free returns, affordable style, and this Friday and Saturday a Kohl's Memorial Day cash-in sale. $10 Kohl's cash for every $50 you spend to use later on anything in the store. No exclusions. The more you know, the more you Kohl's. Kohl's. Expect great things.
Idaho's News Talk Authority.
670 KBOI, Boise.
Don't miss a thing.
News Talk 670 KBOI.
From ABC News, I'm Joan Bennett. President Obama talking democracy with his Polish counterparts before heading home.
Your actions charted a course for freedom that inspired many on this continent and beyond. And it has many relevant lessons. So we want to encourage all states undergoing similar experiences to learn from Poland.
The president will be on the ground tomorrow in Joplin, Missouri, meeting with tornado victims. Last Sunday's monster storm is blamed for at least 132 deaths. Besides funerals today, ABC's Matt Gutman in Joplin says there's also a wedding.
In the moments after that tornado struck, Aaron Cox just started walking down the streets of Joplin, talking to people. He was searching for his sister, Sarah, and her fiancé, Mike. Well, today, Aaron Cox is getting married here in Joplin, a sign that amidst all of this destruction, life really does move on.
Violent weather has hit the Northeast. Intense thunderstorms stalled over central Vermont, pushing rivers over their banks. About 200 people had to be evacuated. The border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip is open again for the first time in 4 years, allowing most Palestinians to come and go. An Egyptian blockade had prevented most of Gaza's 1.5 million people from being able to travel abroad. It's a holiday weekend for most Americans. Millions are hitting the roads and airports for a long-delayed getaway. ABC's David Curley in Vienna, Virginia.
Travel experts say it was that long, cold winter that are driving a lot of people out to get to, and believe it or not, the top 3 destinations, warm weather destinations, mostly beaches. Folks just wanted a break from that winter.
A very special Indy 500 tomorrow. The iconic race celebrates its 100th anniversary. One of the cars in the field of 33 is owned by former racer Sam Schmidt, who was paralyzed in a crash 11 years ago. He'll be watching from the stands. You're listening to ABC News.
The weekend is coming! The weekend is coming!
This Memorial Day weekend at Ace, save 40% on an Adirondack chair, now just $29.99.
The weekend is coming!
Or pick up Miracle Grow potting mix for $8.99 each with a $5 mail-in rebate available. So visit your local Ace and get saving, then get your weekend back. At Ace, the helpful place. Price is good at participating Ace stores May 27th through 30th. Limit 2 rebates total for Miracle Grow purchases. Additional conditions apply.
The weekend is coming! The weekend is coming!
See store for details.
At Advance Auto Parts, our service commitment doesn't just apply at our stores. It stretches online to advanceautoparts.com. Find the right part for your car from our expanded selection of over 350,000 quality parts, all with detailed images and info, plus 24/7 live customer service. That's a service commitment you can depend on. Right now, save $20 on orders of $50 or more at advanceautoparts.com/drive. See site for details. Advance Auto Parts. Service is our best part.
The trial of Casey Anthony has resumed today in Orlando. She's accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, 3 years ago. Casey's father, George Anthony, on the witness stand, was asked about the strong odor that was discovered in Casey's car after it was impounded. ABC's Ashley Banfield at the trial.
He was recalled to the stand now for the 3rd time to answer questions about the smell coming from the car. And at one point, George Anthony broke down and cried, saying, "I said, please, God, don't let this be Casey or Kaylee."
In the category of Get a Life, we hear about a barrage of online criticism of a Canadian couple who refused to reveal their baby's gender. Is Storm a little boy or a little girl? His or her parents won't say.
When he or she was born in Toronto 4 months ago, parents Kathy Witterick and David Stocker sent out an email announcement saying Storm was healthy and they were happy. And that's all. The parents say not revealing the identity is a tribute to freedom of choice, but since the news hit, they've been slammed by angry emails. They responded with an email of their own that reads that the whole world must know what is between the baby's legs is unhealthy, unsafe, and voyeuristic. We know, and we're keeping it clean, safe, healthy, and private. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
More Bernie Madoff memorabilia, art, and artifacts that once belonged to the imprisoned swindler being auctioned off in South Florida compensate victims of Madoff's Ponzi scheme. This is ABC News.
Now at Exxon and Mobil locations, you can save 15 cents per gallon for 60 days when you use your SpeedPass device for fuel purchases at participating locations. Just register your SpeedPass device at speedpass.com by June 30th, 2011 to start saving. That's right, save 15 cents per gallon when you use your SpeedPass device. Visit speedpass.com today. Excludes business and fleet card accounts. Purchases in Louisiana, New Jersey, and some Florida stores do not qualify. Rebates will be posted to the credit or check card that is linked to SpeedPass. Maximum gallons eligible for rebate is 100 per account. Offer may not be combined with any other SpeedPass offers. Allow a minimum of 90 days to receive rebates.
I'm Joan Bennett, ABC News.
Thank you for helping make KBOI Idaho's #1 choice for news.
You know, I gotta tell you something.
Don't miss Sean Hannity.
I love what Phoebe said.
Live weekdays at 1.
Let me hold your hand, Mr. President. Let me explain to you what the reality of having rockets 7,000-8,000 fired into our cities and bombs blowing up in our pizza parlors and in our streets is all about.
Sean Hannity.
Sean Hannity.
Weekdays 1 to 4.
Let me explain to you what you obviously don't have a clue about.
On News Talk 670 KBOI.
It's amazing.
Don't miss a thing.
Don't miss a thing.
is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to Saturday, Weekend Idaho Saturday, with Doug McConnaughey. Art Gregory is in studio with me. Unfortunately, Del Chapman could not make it this morning. And Del, of course, is a living legend in both rock and roll radio and radio history from the 50s and 60s and part of the 70s, too. And Del was one of my broadcast teachers. In fact, I have two former communication teachers in this valley. Dr. Gary Peterson was the chairman of the communications department at the University of Puget Sound, one of my teachers, and he moved here a few years ago. Wow. And he called me up out of the blue and said he was listening. And then Del Chapman, of course, was at Ron Bailey School of Broadcast. I'd gone there after being a newspaper reporter and wanted to know how to get into radio. And this was in Seattle, and started to broadcast school, and right. Del was he cracked the whip. Boy, I disliked that guy. He made us work. But it was really good because I learned a lot, and the best part was that they had an internship opening at a radio station, and they got me a job. And so I went to work at the radio station. I didn't need any more broadcast training, and rest is history. I had to drop out of Ron Bailey because, I already had a job and was doing everything that they could teach me, except for getting a first-class radio license. And back in those days, of course, today, you don't even need a note from your mother to get on the air, but back then, if you were going to be on the transmitter, especially at night, directional, and especially if you're operating a transmitter of 5 or 10,000 watts, you needed to have a first phone. If you're going to be a DJ or a newsman on during the day, whether you signed on the log or not, you needed a third phone, a third-class license.
Really, you didn't need any license to actually be on the air, but it was signing the logs that you needed the license for. And any radio station that was 10,000 watts or above in power had to have a first-class operator on duty at all times at the transmitter. Or if you were directional at any time, if you were directional, you had to have first-class license. So what they did is Ron Bailey would do these, but Ron Bailey would really teach you the material, but there were other groups like the Ogden School of Broadcasting, and they would teach you the material, but they would teach it to you over a 6 to 8 week period of intensive training, and they would give you enough information to pass that test. Now, whether or not you used it or not, when Jim Blossy was here last week from KIDO back in the 60s, I asked Jim, I said, you got your first class from Ogden. Did you retain any of that? And he said, Art, it's all about whether you use it or not. If you had used it, you would have retained it, but you didn't use it. All you did was take transmitter readings, and it's really kind of silly to have somebody with that caliber of license sitting out babysitting the transmitter. But at this radio station right here, KBOI, I worked there in 1970, 71, 72. I had a third class. All of us did. And the reason why is KBOI maintained a full-time transmitter engineer at both transmitters, the one out by Kuna for the radio station and the one on the hill for KBOI FM, which is now KQFC, and KBOI TV, which is Channel 2, which we talked about earlier.
Well, it's a lot like law school and lawyers. Law school doesn't teach you to be a lawyer, but it allows you to become a baby lawyer, and you learn the law by being a lawyer, by doing it. Same thing with broadcast engineering. And a lot of us just needed to get the ticket so that we could work there. When I got into management and radio management at the very end of that era, it would be foolish to hire anybody to work at the station that didn't have a third phone because you never would know when they would have to sign the transmitter. Correct. And it was just a waste of time to have people who couldn't also sign the logs and do all of that. And I worked at stations in the Seattle area that had those full-time restrictions. And I started...
where all did you work, Doug? I mean, I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with your resume. You're a lawyer, correct?
I'm a mediator and arbitrator.
You're a mediator.
I'm a recovering lawyer. I try every day not to be a lawyer.
Do you actually have a law degree, though?
Yes, I do.
And so you're a lawyer. You have a first-class radio telephone permit or license. My goodness. I mean, your qualifications are incredible with what you've been through in your life. Where all have you worked?
Well, Seattle, Honolulu, Hawaii.
But I mean, what stations?
Well, in Seattle, I worked at the old KAYO.
Okay.
And
yes.
I started there in the newsroom. It was a news talk station, huge newsroom, and I had to sign on the license there at night because I ran the newsroom and anchored newscast all night long. And of course, Seattle's a very intense news town, and
right.
Boy, we put the first airplane in the sky for traffic outside of KOMO. They had one, and then we went into the business, and we put the first radio talk host psychologist on the air.
Wow.
Dr. Wayne Johnson. And then when I went to KBOI, I worked with Dr. Jennifer James, and she did the Fraser Crane thing as well in Seattle. So I worked there at KO and Como and KVI and short time at Cairo. And there was a station by the name of, I think, KGW. No, that was in Portland. Right now I can't remember the name of it.
The one on 1250?
No. Well, I don't know. Well, I'm going to have to go back and search my memory on that. But it's where I first got indoctrinated because we were looking for a way to pay for several of us go to the Democratic National Convention in 1972. And so we filed radio reports for this station, and I can't for the life of me remember. Maybe it was KTW.
Yes.
But there was also a KXL, and I wanted to work at KXL. They were at 770.
You're thinking actually of KXA. KXA.
There you go.
Yes, they're at 70, and KTW, right. I believe, was in Tacoma on 1330, somewhere in that.
But they broadcast in Seattle.
Correct.
That's where their station was, and the one you just mentioned, KXA at 77, was the only station that still had a dipolar antenna. Downtown Seattle, on top of one of the buildings, they had probably a 40-foot tower, two of them, and then hung the antenna between the two of them.
It's an old station. Brent Larson, who put KUUZ and owned Kain, KAIN 1340, owned part of KXA in Seattle, and I worked for Brent.
Really?
So, yes. So Seattle connection. There's a lot of connections, Doug, between Seattle and Boise. This radio station that we're on right now was first owned by Queen City Broadcasting, and KBOI was put on the air in 1947 by a Seattle organization. The guy that owned Cairo, Saul Haas, put on KBOI. So
well, at KXA, that was put on the air by Chester Dumm, and he got the 770. He was one of the petitioners for the Channel 7 TV license.
Right.
But he didn't get it, and he had 770, and he was going to run the two of them together. And then later, of course, Bonneville Broadcasting had both Cairo Channel 7 and Cairo News Radio. I forget the frequency of that one. But you're right. The sphere of influence in broadcasting back in the early days was Seattle to Boise, and not necessarily Salt Lake or Portland or Spokane, although there was some probably networking that was going on. I've also worked at KLIX in Twin Falls. I worked for Charlie Tuma. Do you know Charlie?
I don't know Charlie. Charlie was, I think, the engineer there, and he ended up buying the station from Rosie Lane. Matter of fact, Taylor, I don't know if you can, towards the end of the list there is a hilarious news intro for Clicks News in Twin Falls.
Here it is.
And perhaps you could play that for us just as long as we're talking about Clicks. And we've got a lot of listeners down in Twin Falls. So, folks in Twin Falls, this is what you used to listen to.
First with news. Latest news. News for you on each half hour.
Told with impact and with power.
All the news for you from A to Z. News is first from Clicks News Tower.
Watch the weather.
It may shower.
News from anywhere that news may be.
So to keep up with the latest,
stick with Clicks to hear the greatest coverage of news, and we will do the news for you.
KLIX, the sound of the valley. Charlie Tuma.
Clicks is clicking.
Clicks is clicking. Some places have got an old clock that says Clicks is clicking. And they used to hand out clickers at the Twin Falls County Fair.
Oh, yeah, they were like those little cricket things, weren't they? Like Paul Parrott shoes.
Kids all had them. What did you say? What kind of shoes?
Paul Parrott.
Oh.
Paul Parrott, remember they had those little things that would go click, 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 click.
Right.
And I'll tell you, if you wanted to drive a parent crazy, that would be it. Remember Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mad Magazine had the lighter side of this and that, and one of them was the lighter side of birthdays. And I remember this mother saying, I'm looking for something for an 8-year-old boy. And the clerk says, well, we've got this truck here, and we've got this toy dump truck over here. Oh, and we've got that big drum up there, that big bass drum. And the mother says, I'll take the drum. I can't stand the mother.
With Clicks, I need to correct something on Charlie Tuma, because he probably could be listening to us in Twin Falls. Charlie was actually worked for ABC. The ABC O&O owned and operated in Denver, and came to work. He was a newsman, and then he became an engineer. And as you say, he bought the radio station KLIX from KLIX TV.
Yeah, Rosie Lane, I think, actually. See, Clicks TV had already been sold off to Western Broadcasting, Dale Moore.
KMVT.
Yes, and they changed the call letters to KMVT, and then Clicks Radio stayed in that same location. What was it, Addison? And
for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they moved on out to Red Cap Corner in Kimberly, built a beautiful facility out there. Well, let's take a break. Doug McConnaughey, Art Gregory. We're just visiting some of the old days of radio. If you can remember it, maybe we're jarring a few memories loose for you. We'd look forward to having Del Chapman in here this morning. Del's a living legend in radio broadcasting. We'll be back for a few more memories in just a moment on Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. Mark Levin, weeknights at 10 after Michael Savage.
I'm not an anarchist. I believe in the federal government.
On News Talk 670 KBOI. Don't miss a thing.
Is there anything better than free food and great music? Hi, this is Troy Jenkins from Bish's RV in Nampa, inviting you to kick off your Memorial Day weekend with us this Friday, Saturday, and Monday. We're having one of our famous barbecues, compliments of our founder, Tim Jenkins. He's serving up Traeger smoked beef brisket and his famous baked beans from 11 to 2 daily. We've got J.D. Webb and the Downstate Ramblers playing all Saturday afternoon. Bish's RV is the largest RV dealer in Idaho and proud to offer a full line of Jayco travel trailers, fifth wheels, and motorhomes. Check out our 2011 Jayco Eagle half-ton towable that's now slashed over $10,000 off MSRP, or a new 2012 Keystone Bullet travel trailer that was over $32,995 on sale now for only $23,985. Bish's has over 500 new and used RVs to choose from and convenient in-house financing. This Friday, Saturday, and Monday, free music and food.
Take exit 36 off the freeway in Nampa to Bish's RV Supercenter, where memories begin. Plus, enter to win tickets to the Stampede for the Cure concert with Steve Holy at the Idaho Center.
Hi, this is Jim Zamzo. And if you've been noticing how good your neighbor's lawn looks because he's on the Zamzo's Lawn program, while your lawn looks not so great, come see it. At Zamzo's, it's never too late for a green lawn. You may just need a bag or two of our spring and summer lawn food. It's all natural and safe for kids and pets. It only takes 20 minutes for the average size lawn, and we'll loan you a spreader to apply it with for free. You can buy it by the bag, but if you do purchase our annual lawn program, we'll sell you a spreader for half price. Zamzo's lawn programs start at just $94.99, and that's the total cost for 5 applications. What's more, with every bag of Zamzo's lawn food you apply, you're actually improving the soil. In the past few years, over 10,000 families have signed up for our natural lawn care program. So thanks, Treasure Valley, for helping to protect our kids, pets, and the environment. Together, we're improving the earth 1 yard at a time.
Nobody knows like Zamzo's.
When it comes to pre-owned vehicles, some make the grade and some don't. Hi, I'm Trina Stevens. At Internet Auto Rent and Sales, you can now buy certified pre-owned vehicles. These are the pick of the litter. So good that we're sad to see them go, but happy they're in a good home. Each one has been pre-screened, reconditioned, inspected thoroughly, and detailed like it's going into surgery. They are so perfect that you'll have a hard time telling the difference between Internet certified pre-owned and the new ones from down the street. Well, there's one big difference. At Internet, you'll always save thousands off new MSRP. You can also rest easy because every certified pre-owned vehicle has an available 100,000-mile extended warranty. That's peace of mind and a smart financial decision. Why pay the difference if you can't tell the difference? Come into Internet Auto Rent and Sales or shop us online at InternetAutoBoise.com. I hope to see you soon.
News Authority. News Talk 670 KBOI. Don't miss a thing.
Looking to save some big money? Then get to Champion's Open House Sale this weekend. Save 40% on windows and siding and 15% on patio rooms. And don't forget to bring in your measurements for on-the-spot pricing and additional discounts. So come to the Champion Showroom on Lanark Street in Meridian, directly behind R.C. Willey's this weekend only for Champion's Open House Sale. Call 888-420-1288 for more details. That's 888-420-1288. These savings won't last forever, so get to Champion today.
Elise, come on, it's game day. You've got all weekend to study.
Jen, this has nothing to do with studying. I've got to work. The way the economy is, I figure I'll be working for the next century just to pay off these student loans.
Well, you know...
I know. You joined the National Guard, so your college is completely paid for. Yes, you've mentioned it a couple thousand times.
The National Guard Scholarship covers up to 100% of your tuition. Learn more at nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Idaho National Guard. Aired by the Idaho State Broadcasters Association and this station.
Live reports at the scene of breaking news. News Talk 670 KBOI.
Volare, oh, cantare, oh, let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowds. We can sing in the glow of a star that I know of, where lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave the confusion and all disillusion behind. Just like birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find. Volare, oh, e cantare, oh. No wonder my happy heart sings. Your love has given me wings. Penso che io sogno così non ritorni mai più. Mi dipinge con le mani e la faccia di blu. Poi d'improvviso tenido dal vento rapido e incominciavo a volare nel cielo infinito. Volare, oh, oh, e cantare, oh, nel blu dipinto di blu. digi di stare lassù e volavo Venigi.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey. You can talk with Doug right now at 336-3700 or 1-800-529-KBOI. Now back to Weekend Idaho on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Suonare soltanto per me. No wonder my happy heart sings. Your love has given me wings. Nel blu dipinto di blu, venite di stare lassù. Nel blu dipinto di blu.
Sky. Hey, good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to Saturday, Weekend Idaho Saturday, with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory. And Art was just asking me who this gentleman is, and now let's take a look at it. Now, that would have been Vern Moore, and he held this huge box with a microphone. I don't know if that was a wire recorder or sort of a Marty transmitter. You wondered who the gentleman was. He's holding a coat, and he's got a bag packed in front of him, and it's in front of a gate, a storm fence gate. This is at the airport, and I believe that gentleman looks like a sports type.
I was saying, would that be Herman Killebrew? And Vern Moore said, no, that was not Herman.
Who was it?
We visited with Vern about a year ago up in Coeur d'Alene, and Vern just passed away, as you know, on in February 17th of this year. But last June, Larry Taylor flew us up to Coeur d'Alene, and we visited Vern, and we walked through a lot of these pictures, and Vern couldn't remember who that was. Now, another one that I thought was Broderick Crawford on Highway Patrol, he said, no. He said that was band leader Paul Whiteman. And Vern Moore was at 94, still very sharp, and knew exactly who that was, but he didn't know who that baseball player. It looks like a baseball player to me. I don't know if it was Vernon Law or it could have been Larry Jackson. It almost looks a little like it might be Larry Jackson, but I'm so young that I don't really follow sports. We need Jeff Caves and Mike Prater. Caves and Prater to tell us who that is.
Now, Vern died in February. Why was he living in Coeur d'Alene?
Well, what had happened with Vern is Vern started at KIDO in 1935. He was working for Benson Polytechnic High School, and he'd been in the Navy, and he was a 19-year-old high school kid on the air, and listen to this, Doug, at a shared time broadcast station in Portland, KEX. And KEX shared their time with Benson Polytech High School. They had to sign off and let the high school kids on. Well, when KEX signed off and Vern came on for Benson, Kiddo Phillips and Georgia Davidson, at that time Georgia Phillips, were in town, heard Vern Moore on the air, went over to that radio station and hired him, and he got in the back seat of their Packard and drove from Portland, Oregon to Boise, Idaho, and they hired him in 1935.
Wow, unbelievable. That's the early days of broadcasting. Dan in Marsing, I haven't heard from you for a while, buddy. How are you?
Well, I've been listening to you because I listened to all the Dean Martins you've been playing this morning, all the way back to 5 o'clock.
It's kind of nice, huh?
I should have asked for permission to come aboard.
Permission granted.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember some of the radios. One of the one I listened to was, in my early days, was Ted Romero in Fallon, Nevada.
Ted Romero?
Yeah.
Fallon? You could catch that at night when you're DXing?
Well, he was the daytime radio jockey, and one time my daughter was on his station, and he got her to sing, and it went over the air. So my daughter kind of got a little bit embarrassed. But I was going to say, in radio back then too, you remember, it wasn't only just the music and things. That was our television.
Sure, there was no television, and Dan, you're right. There was a lot of stations like KFXD in Nampa. Doug, you live in Nampa, and on 12th Avenue South in Nampa is the original KFXD studios.
Right.
I think it's at 11th Avenue and 12th Avenue South, and I know there was a real estate agency agent by the name of Jerry Gerdez or something. He said that he lived right next to the KFXD studios when he was a little kid growing up in the 30s and 40s, and they had got on the radio, kind of like what Dan was talking about, saying, hey, we need a little kid to come over and sing on the radio. So he went from his own yard over to KFXD, was on the air, and promptly returned home with his mother with a switch waiting for him because he had left the yard without telling her, and he got spanked because was on the air and she was listening to KFXD and heard him sing on the air.
Well, KFXD, that building that's there,
yes.
You can actually see there was a place built for a sign, an electric sign that said KFXD.
Right.
And also, originally, the tower and transmitter were on the back of that building.
Correct.
And then when they moved out to Amity Road in Meridian, at the highest point in Ada County, they kept the studio there, but they built a theater behind it that attached, so they could go on the air with live programs, which I think KFXD was known for in those days.
They did. Matter of fact, at the Shiloh Cafe in Nampa, which is, I think, called the Canyon Creek Cafe, there's a picture of,
right.
Have you seen that, of the KFXD hillbilly band, and a really cute girl piano player, and, back in those days, like what Dan was talking about, people would come to the radio station and they would perform live. They would have tap dancing and they'd have singers and piano players and that sort of thing, and they'd have a live audience similar to what we had on KIDO last week, and it was
I would
really
love
exciting.
to do that. I would love to do that. Dan, hey, I appreciate the call, buddy.
And don't forget that Broderick Crawford was Gunsmoke in Donnie the something knows.
Yeah, are you... Yes, or was it the guy who played Cannon later on?
Yeah, I think
I think that was it. And then there's
Cannon.
also the Mystery Theater and all of those, your radio shows.
You're showing your age, Dan.
I know. Well, I'll ask for permission to go ashore.
Permission granted, Dan. Carry on.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Weekend Idaho Saturday with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory. And by the way, we're right in the middle of a rating period.
Yes.
So remember what you're listening to. It's KBOI, and it is Weekend Idaho.
And when you listen, you say you listen at home, at work, and in the car.
There you go.
Check all three boxes, and once again, the call letters are KBOI. Write that down.
I don't think we're supposed to. Back in the old days, we couldn't talk about.
Well, yeah, you're actually not supposed to talk about.
What are they going to do? Fire us?
But I'm a broadcasting historian. I'm not a.
That's right.
Person.
That's right. Weekend Idaho Saturday. 336-3700 or 1-800-529-KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. News Talk 670 KBOI and Syringa Networks have teamed up for the 2011 Charity Golf Tournament to benefit Computers for Kids. It's Monday, June 20th at Boise Ranch Golf Course. In addition to 18 holes on a championship course, your tournament registration includes range balls, a gift package, team awards, a continental breakfast, and buffet lunch. To register, call Syringa Networks at 229-6181 or go to 670kboi.com, keyword golf.
Hey Treasure Valley, Grant Peterson Jr. from Bronco Motors, Hyundai, Nissan, and now the exciting Mitsubishi lineup. We have just the award-winning cars and SUVs to save you thousands at the gas pump. So whether it's that new Sonata Hybrid, the red-hot 40-mile-per-gallon Elantra, the sporty Nissan Versa, or sexy Sentra, or America's highest mile-per-gallon SUV, Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, and more, Bronco Motors has more 30 to 40-mile-per-gallon choices than anyone in the valley. Hey, come see why Bronco Blue is the new green. the year's best rebate, and your nice trade-in is worth a record amount, and we don't care what it is. Treasure Valley's best buyer for your nice car, truck, or SUV. So trade up, down, or all the way around today at any Treasure Valley Bronco Motors. And don't worry, we'll get you financed. We'll get the job done when others can't. Get pre-approved online anytime at BroncoMotors.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just minutes from anywhere at the Idaho Center Auto Mall or 9250 Fairview in Boise.
For years, people around Idaho have talked about education reform. Most everyone agrees that our current education system that's been in place the last 40 years hasn't kept up with the demands of a modern society and workforce. Much like the computer equipment in most Idaho classrooms, Idaho students were slipping behind. And while we've seen some improvement in the last few years, we hit a ceiling. We could either keep banging our heads against that ceiling, or we could pass the Students Come First legislation and gather the momentum to break through into a more promising future for Idaho students and teachers. Students Come First is already creating a future where lack of funds or limited access will not limit a student's chance for success. Isn't it time to give the future a chance? Give our kids a chance? Let's make sure that in Idaho, students come first. Paid by Idahoans for better education.
These days, we're all looking for ways to keep Idaho working. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees. But looking to the forest may be exactly what we need to do. Idaho's backyard has 21 million acres of forests that contribute to our state and our way of life. When you look to the future, look to working forests. They're renewable, they're sustainable. They fuel Idaho's economy with wages, taxes, and purchases from employees and businesses. They create wood and paper products traded throughout the world. And we all benefit from the clean water, wildlife habitat, recreation, and wildfire protection working forests provide. In the future, we will look to the forest for even more. Clean energy, new products and jobs, carbon storage, and a healthy environment for our children. It's a good thing working forests are renewable and sustainable. Look to the future. Look to the forest. Learn more about the promise of Idaho's forests at idahoforests.org. A message from the Idaho Forest Products Commission.
What happens next happens here. News Talk 670 KBOI.
Summer in the Treasure Valley. A lazy feel. Time to enjoy everything Idaho has to offer. It's also the last few months to pass before Bronco football. There's a different feel in 2011, and it's called the Mountain West Conference. Don't be left on the outside while historic visits from Air Force and TCU take place inside Bronco Stadium. There's Nevada and Tulsa, too. The only way to guarantee your seats is by getting season tickets. Add your name to the waiting list by visiting idahotickets.com.
Hi, this is Paul McCartney on behalf of RAD. If you're drinking, you can't drive my car or any car. Remember, if you're partying this holiday season, don't drink and drive. Got it? It's just not worth it. Doesn't make sense. Thank you.
This message brought to you by Performance Chevrolet in Mountain Home. Visit bestidahodeals.com. That's bestidahodeals.com.
670 KBOI First News.
The biggest and best news team in Idaho.
We got married in a fever, hotter than a pepper sprout. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. I'm going to Jackson. I'm gonna mess around. Yeah, I'm going to Jackson. Look out, Jackson Town.
Well, go on down to Jackson. Go ahead and wreck your health. Go play your hand, you big talking man. Make a big fool of yourself. Yeah, go to Jackson. But go comb that hair.
I'm gonna snowball Jackson.
Go ahead and see if I care.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
People gonna stoop and bow. All them women gonna make me teach them what they don't know how.
I'm going to Jackson. That's Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra.
Right, yes.
Does that bring back some memories? That's Weekend Idaho Saturday with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory. Let's go to Dennis in Caldwell. Morning, Dennis. Thanks for joining the conversation.
Good morning. Permission to reminisce.
Permission granted.
It seems like Dell, seemed like they always said the Deacon Dell Chapman. Was there anything behind the Deacon?
Yes. So what that was is Jack Link, who was the manager of KIDO from 1959 until 1976, on location in Boise from 1959 to 1962. Jack had all of the announcers come up with a handle for the Live 5, the nickname. And so it was Deacon Dell Chapman, Jazzbo Jim Blasi, Just Plain Dick McGarvin, because Dick didn't want a name, and he said, I don't want a name, I just want to be Just Plain Dick McGarvin. So they said, okay, it's Just Plain Dick McGarvin. And anyway, Deacons is the one that really is stuck, and he still goes by Deacon Dell Chapman,
Dell.
And is very pleased to have that name.
That's right. Dennis, hey, I appreciate your question about Dell.
Could I tell you a little story?
A real quick one.
Sure.
All right. Well, they had great contests back then, and in a short period of time, I had won, say, 3 flights from one of the flight services there in Nampa. And I was underage. I didn't have any driver's license. I knew Mom wasn't going to take me, so to claim them, you had to go to Nampa and get them. So I rode my bike clear to Nampa, got the tickets, got back to home, of course, and then in the next few days, while my sister and her husband, they drove me over there, and we took a flight around the valley here. It was kind of cool.
Was this on KFXD? Is that you on that?
I think it was.
Yeah, because they were in Nampa. KIDO, of course, would be in Boise. KGM was in
had
Nampa.
A studio. Yeah,
right there where Murdoch Finances on the corner of, I think it's 11th or 12th
Deadbeat
Avenue.
Corner.
Right there, KGM.
Hey.
Marty Martin.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, you take care. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Sure.
All right. Let's go ahead and go back to the phone. Bill in Boise. Good morning, Bill.
Oh, hi. How are you guys doing?
Not
Doing
bad.
Good, Bill. How are you?
Interesting show. I used to have a buddy who used to work out in the desert on that transmitter for when it shifted over to 100,000.
Yep, 50,000. Yep,
50,000. Yeah.
Marty Holtman used to call it the Plains of Cuna, the lonely Plains of Cuna.
Yeah, we drove out. He used to sit out there, and his name was Bill Laxon. I don't know if you guys knew him or not. He was over there working for a couple of years, and then he went to Oregon after. He was just a high school student, pretty young.
Right, yeah, I don't know Bill, but I think we have a picture of him. He was a handsome young man and worked for KBOI for a short time, and he had his, as Doug has, his first class radio telephone license.
That's right. It was. I remember listening to the radio back then, and I think I heard the first simulcast I heard. It was when they were broadcasting the Grand Ole Opry, and it was on the TV. I don't remember what channel it was, but it was on the radio, too. I ran around, turned all the radios on, and listened to and watched it on TV all at the same time.
Sure. Well, you know what they did for early FM, prior to FM stereo being granted, they ran the left channel on KBOI AM and the right channel on KBOI FM, and you had to have 2 radios to get stereo.
Wow. Hey, we got to go. I appreciate the call, Dennis. I mean, Bill. I'm sorry. I appreciate the call. We'll talk again soon. Okay. Weekend Idaho Sunday. We've got time for one more call before we take the break. Bob Forey in Nampa. Morning, Bob.
Well, good morning. Hey, it's really astounding how important radio has been in our lives. As you guys talk and recall, my thought was used to take us boys, our girlfriends, up to the Hotel Boise up on the 2nd floor. They had a radio studio in there.
KIDO.
And they would let us come in, and it was a glassed-in portion. They had seats out there for us, and that was a big deal to get to go up there and actually watch the radio guys. But that's great. I sure appreciate your program this morning, and it seemed like Bill Grattan might have been in there.
Yes,
he was in that?
Yep.
Bill actually worked for KIDO. That's where he started. And then when KBOI got started as KDSH in 1946. It was, I'm sorry, 1947 when they put this radio station, the one we're speaking on right now, used to be KDSH, and it started in 1947. And Bill came over to KDSH from KIDO.
Well, boy, I'll tell you, this shows just how important radio has been in our lives, and a good program this morning. Thank you.
Well, Bob, I appreciate the call, and I would love to go back to the radio station being on the mezzanine of the old Hotel Boise, the Hoff building today. It would still be good. I'd love to do that. I'm going to have to get together some people to buy a radio station. I can sense that.
Well,
I need to do that.
Maybe so. Give me a holler when you decide to do it.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds good, Bob. You take care. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll be back for our final segment. Doug McConnaughey, Art Gregory, and Art has a phenomenal task and a calling in front of him, and that's to bring us the Museum of Broadcast History. And, boy, he's got a fine collection. It's even better than mine. But I've got some nice equipment, too. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Let's get together.
Flip a coin.
Merge.
See whether it's my kids or you get to have that equipment.
There you go.
Taylor will bring the coin. Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment on Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory and you on News Talk 670 KBOI.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI. Monday morning, get 670 KBOI first traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 6s. Right here on News Talk 670 KBOI. Don't miss a thing.
Gene Watson is finally coming to Treasure Valley and performing Saturday, June 4th, 7 p.m. at Lakeview Bible Church in Nampa, and Boise Church of Christ Sunday, June 5th, 1 p.m. Who is Gene Watson? Well, you can visit our website at genewatson.com. Gene is a classically trained singer and violinist as well as songwriter and arranger. Make plans now to come to Lakeview Bible Church, 1010 Greenhurst, Nampa, on the corner of Midland and Greenhurst, 7 p.m. Saturday, June 4th, or Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, Boise Church of Christ, 2000 North El Dorado. Plan to make a day of it and come to church at 10:30. It's all free to the public. You can find more about this at boisechurch.org. That's boisechurch.org. Boise Church of Christ, where church is family.
You gave us up at John Scott, where your choice just got better.
Don't miss the big Memorial Weekend sale this Friday through Monday at Tom Scott Toyota. See why the best new cars make the best used cars with sale pricing and 2.9% APR financing on all Toyota certified pre-owned vehicles. You'll also find special incentives throughout our huge inventory of new cars and trucks, including 1.9% APR financing on new 2011 Camrys and Tundras. Recent college grads can get a $1,000 rebate on 6 new Toyota models and 3 new Scion models. And if the lease is ending on your Toyota or Scion, return it to us at Tom Scott Toyota. We'll give you $200 no matter where you leased it. See us for complete details during the big Memorial Weekend sale at Tom Scott Toyota under the big American flag at the Idaho Center Auto Mall in Nampa. Financing on approved credit. Offers end 5/31/11.
Your choice just got better.
Nate Shellman here for Certa Pro Painters. You can give them a call, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA. Certa Pro Painters painted a room at my place. It was one of the easiest things I had to go through. Sherry came over, took a look through my room, let me know everything the painters needed to do, and let me know how much it was going to be right there. That way there were no surprises. Painter came in a couple days later, got the room done. Now I have a home office. Now I can go forward with all my other projects this summer. I'm not a painter. I can't paint rooms myself. That's why Certa Pro Painters come in so handy. Painters you can trust, painters that won't break the bank, painters that are clean. They do a great job, and the room looks wonderful. I highly recommend them inside or outside. Whatever paint job you need done, they help you pick out the colors. Give them a call, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA, or look them up online, CertaPro.com. That's CERTA Pro.com. Tell them Nate Shellman sent you. you.
Watch it tonight, read about it tomorrow, or hear it now. 670 KBOI.
What is work? Is work talking about working? Is work telling others to work? No. Work is actually working with your hands and your brains. Work is building skyscrapers and drilling for oil. Work is loading ships and building submarines. Work is craft. Work is complex. Work is family. Work is pride. And if you're serious about it, work is a pair of Red Wing boots on your feet. Red Wing work boots are purpose-built for the exact work you do. Red Wing shoes. Work is our work.
Hi, Tom Bodette. You know, 1 minute I'm supposed to watch my fat grams, next it's carbs, now it's not just fat, it's trans fat. I'm confused and hungry. I'm confungry. Meanwhile, Motel 6 still has clean, comfortable rooms for the lowest price of any national chain. Simple but good, like meat and potatoes, or, if you like, pomitos. Book your room online at Motel6.com. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
More live news updates than any other radio station. News Talk 670 KBOI.
Do-do-do, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, be-dooby-dooby, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, be-dooby-dooby, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, be-dooby-dooby.
This is Weekend Idaho with Doug McConnaughey on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Down, down, be-dooby-dooby, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, even when I shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, be-dooby-dooby, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, down, down, be-dooby-dooby, shooby-dooby-doo-bop, you can tell me lies, but there's nothing I can do. I'll never take a shooby-dooby-doo-bop, I can't stay mad, I can't stay mad at you.
Oh, that's going back a few years. Skeeter Davis.
Skeeter, great tune.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, that takes us back to when that song was popular. You know, reading some of the comments with Art Gregory from the Museum of Broadcast History.
Yeah, we actually call it the History of Idaho Broadcasting, and if you're interested, you can go to historyofidahobroadcasting.org.
Wonderful. Here's a piece of paper that came out of Radio KIDO. It says, KIDO has 1. Personality DJs, better music, and superior on-the-air salesmen. No rock or western on the music menu.
Yes.
Full-time local news and farm director. 3 mobile units keep listeners apprised of local news. NBC programming, the first Boise radio station, the first network station in Boise.
True.
And anyway, let's go to the phones right now. We've got Steve in Boise. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Doug. Art.
Hey, how are you?
Morning.
Good. Great to hear this nostalgic program. And Art, this brings back personal memories. You and I go back about 50 years. Doesn't surprise me a bit that you're a radio historian, because when you were a 10-year-old kid and I was 9, you had a simulated radio station, and I was insanely jealous. I don't know where you got them, but you had stacks and stacks of 45s that somebody gave you back then.
I actually stole them from my sister and brother, and I took their records, and they were not too happy.
All right. Yeah, I had to pay 89 cents for my 45, so... Hey, I remember probably riding bicycles with you out to the shiny new Hillcrest Plaza Shopping Center, and I think it was KYME that was out there.
Oh, yes, that was Del Chapman. Del Chapman broadcasting from out there.
It's a church now.
Yeah, and we they've torn it down. They've torn the Hillcrest Plaza down and blocked it off. You can't go anywhere except the library.
The library.
You go in there and it's blocked off. But Steve, I'm pleased to say that 2 years ago we actually honored Dell in that very building. We rented the library and got the conference room, and we put the original KYME signs that are owned by a guy here in town by the name of Tony Penich. And Tony loaned us the signs, and we put put them back in the window, and we, for at least that day, we were KYME one more day.
Fantastic.
Steve, it's good to hear from you. I got to get to one more caller.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
Steve.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right.
care.
And Weekend Idaho. Let's go to Wes in Boise. Good morning, Wes.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Not too bad. How about a minute?
All right. I grew up in northern Idaho listening to KBOI in Pinehurst, Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah.
I came to Boise, and Ernie Allen and Chris were on KIDO, and Paul J. was on KBOI. And I, by coincidence, now run an office that happens to be directly behind what used to be the Howdy Partner on Fairview Avenue.
Oh,
sure.
Well, what would that be? What building is the old Howdy Partner
Well,
drive-in?
it's now a Mexican drive-in restaurant. The building has been there for years and years and years. But when I set up my office in the end of the building now that wraps around behind that drive-in, they told me it used to be the Howdy Partner, and they had a little mini, like a 10-watt radio transmitter, and you could go in. Actually, it was a drive-in, and they had a device out there that you could put a coin into, pick a record, and it would play it on the radio, and people could tune their car radios to that particular channel. And
I didn't know. Now, what they did have is KGEM broadcast live from the Howdy Partner, and they called it Miss KGEM, and I think the lady's name was Clara Hoofnagel. With a name like Clara, you can see why she decided to be Miss KGEM. But anyway, Clara Hoofnagel was the first Miss KGEM, and we've got pictures of her in front of the Howdy Partner in a glass booth, and people would make requests, and yes, I remember the Howdy Partner right across the street from Journal Broadcast Group on Fairview and KU106, where KU106 used to be.
Wow.
Well, Wes, appreciate the call today.
Thanks, Wes.
You bet. Have a great show, guys.
Weekend Idaho Saturday with Doug McConnaughey and Art Gregory. And Art, not enough time. Not enough time at all to
2
do
hours.
this.
Wow. You went quick.
We're going to try to do it again and get Dell down here. History of Idaho Broadcasting Foundation Incorporated. This is a good opportunity. You can go online. What's the website?
It's called historyofidahobroadcasting.org, and you can find all kinds of things on there, including our meetings and audio, and hear things that you will not hear anywhere else, except maybe on your program, Doug.
Weekend Idaho.
Thank you for having me on.
We'll do it again. And for you, remember the gunfighter's motto: ride hard, shoot straight, and always speak the truth. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. on Newstalk 670 KBOI.
Welcome to Taco Bell. Can I help you?
Yeah, hi. So, are you the manager?
Sure am.
Look, here's the thing. I hate being that guy, but I just thought you should know you've got an employee that's giving away these new beefy melt burritos for just 99 cents.
Really? Which employee?
That's him, over there. I mean, all this seasoned beef and melty cheese couldn't be just 99 cents.
Well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, I just thought you should know. I mean, a burrito that's beefy and perfectly melted like this, I'm sure costs twice as much. So, I'll just pay the difference and be on my way.
Actually, it is just 99 cents.
Uh-huh. So you're in on it, too. At just 99 cents, it seems too good to be true. Introducing Taco Bell's new 99-cent Beefy Melt Burrito. Loaded with premium seasoned beef, a blend of 3 cheeses, and heated up to melted perfection. It's one perfectly melted burrito for the perfectly low price of just 99 cents. Think outside the box. For a limited time at participating locations, prices may vary, tax extra.
When it comes to pre-owned vehicles, some make the grade and some don't. Hi, I'm Trina Stevens. At Internet Auto Rent and Sales, you can now buy certified pre-owned vehicles. These are the pick of the litter. So good that we're sad to see them go, but happy they're in a good home. Each one has been pre-screened, reconditioned, inspected thoroughly, and detailed like it's going into surgery. They are so perfect that you'll have a hard time telling the difference between Internet certified pre-owned and the new ones from down the street. Well, there's one big difference. At Internet, you'll always save thousands off new MSRP. You can also rest easy because every certified pre-owned vehicle has an available 100,000-mile extended warranty. That's peace of mind and a smart financial decision. Why pay the difference if you can't tell the difference? Come into Internet Auto Rent and Sales or shop us online at InternetAutoBoise.com. I hope to see you soon.
KBOI, Boise, your official Broncos radio station.
News Talk 670.